If you could please stand for that acknowledgement. Trustee Colgrove, you do us the honors.
Okay. As the school board is a state agency, we want to acknowledge that we are operating on the ancestral land of the Natinafue people. And we understand that with that acknowledgement comes the responsibility and obligation to deliver education in a culturally appropriate way.
Thank you. If we could continue to the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? I have a motion made by trustee McLaughlin, seconded by trustee Kelly to adopt the agenda as is. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. Motion is carried. That brings us to the board study session regarding the 7th and 8th grades location for the 2026-2027 school year and beyond. Note that this board discussion may include discussion about facilities other than Hoopa Elementary and Hoopa High School. Mr. Van Vleck, would you please?
Yeah, Fred's great. So,
Fred,
yeah,
okay, Fred.
yes. So thank you. It's great to see a good turnout here. A lot of people interested in what the plan is for the junior high school. You'll notice this is a little bit different than a regular meeting. This is a study session. And so it gives you a lot more latitude as a board as to how you would like the process to move forward. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get going, and namely how you want to work with public comment. And so what the Brown Act requires is you do have to allow the public to comment, but how you go about doing that is really up to you and which way you want to do it. If you want to do it in a more formal way, you can, which is more like a regular board meeting. Or if you want to have more like generally what a study session is more of a discussion, you can do that also. And so it's really up to you in which way you want to go. And we'll get to that in just a second. I want to talk a little bit about what my role is. My role is just simply a facilitator. I'm just here to help the conversation and help you come to a conclusion. My vote counts for nothing. Of course, if you want my opinion on something, I'm always happy to give you my opinion, but it doesn't matter really what my opinion is unless it's a law or something like that. It's really what you all want to do for the community and what's best for the students up here. And so I encourage you to definitely keep that in mind, what's going to be best for the students at the end of the day. And there's really going to be two decisions that you need to be thinking about this afternoon. And those two decisions are a long-term decision and a short-term decision. I don't think we're going to make a long-term decision today. You certainly can if you want to, but we need a short-term decision on what's going to happen for this school year that starts in about 4 weeks. Absent any direction from the board, it'll simply be a status quo, and the students will return this upcoming school year at the high school, and they'll be in the same classrooms that they were in last year. And we'll move forward in that direction. And so the discussion is really going to be around, do you want to change that direction for next school year? And then next school year, we're going to have some subsequent meetings where we're going to be talking about facility options for what is it that you want to do long-term with the junior high school. And we'll talk about that here a little bit more in just a second. The question that I have though, hearing that, what is your ideal end when we finish the meeting this evening and we walk out of here? So we have a goal to work toward as a board. What is your ideal end that you hope we finish with this afternoon?
Did you want all of us to answer that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're the 7th accountant.
Well, So my ideal end is that we can get boots on the ground tomorrow to make this year happen. So that everybody right now knows at the end of July, that August 24th, this is where they're gonna be.
Great, and so I'm just gonna ask this question and see if I'm understanding you correct. So you are hopeful that we walk out of this meeting with the board agreeing this is our plan for next year, and then give direction to Jacqueline, this is what we're gonna do, please go make it happen.
That's what I want.
Great.
Yeah, but I'm only one of 7, so.
And thank you, and I should have given this little parameter. Please don't say my ideal end to tonight is that the students are at blank site. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking process. Ideal end to the process tonight.
I'm Patty Kelly. For those of you that don't know me, I represent Pequon and Wichita and the whole district. But it would be my hope that we come to a decision that staff, students first, staff and families and board all agree on is the best choice for our students.
That would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I will say this, it doesn't matter what the decision is made this afternoon, somebody is going to disagree. And that's actually a great opportunity to talk a little bit about what I call the lone dissenter. It's really important because there's going to be some great comments that come out of the public this evening and some things that none of us have thought about. As those comments come out and there's a potential disagreement with the direction the district ultimately goes in, I want you to really think about, is the person calling out a moral or ethical concern to the direction that the district is going? Or does the person just simply disagree with the direction the district is going? And those are two very distinct, different things, because if there is a moral or ethical dilemma that the person is calling out, I encourage you to pause, really think about that, and how can you tweak the direction that you're going in to make sure that it is moral and ethical. If they simply disagree with the direction you're going as a district, listen, and then continue down the path that you think is best for the students of the junior high school and all the students, frankly, for that matter, moving forward into next year. Any questions about this concept of lone dissenter? Anybody else want to share where their ideal end? I think both those are great. We'd love to have as many people as possible on board with recognizing not everyone will, no matter what the decision is, and have clear direction coming out of here at the end of this evening. I think both of those are attainable, excuse me. Anything else?
Why one more thing? Okay, so one of the other things that I want to make sure is that when we make this plan, when we plan it out, that we will still Hoopa Elementary is still going in a really good direction, and I don't want to see that change.
Great.
Well, I want to say that what I want to see come out of this meeting is I'm really anxious to hear the community and what they have to say. And then I want to have conversation with this board about what is actually doable and, you know, for the junior high. But I want to be able to give our staff a clear direction on what we expect to be done after this meeting. And that we're moving forward in the process that this board decides. That's what I really want to see come out of this meeting after, but we hear all the comment from the community, because that's very important. But then at the end of that, I want to make sure that we give a very distinct and directive and that it gets carried out.
Now, are you thinking short-term directive for this school year, or in your opinion, are you hoping to make a long-term decision?
No, I'm hoping to make both. I think that we're, like you said, we're gonna need a long-term plan, but if there's something that we need to do in the short term, we need to be able to decide on that and do it immediately and get it going. But either one, I think that we gotta talk about it all, but we gotta make that decision together and move with it fast.
Right. Anybody else? So as we move forward, this is what I would suggest that we do right now. I would suggest that we go over the option sheet before that we do public comment. And with the option sheet, it looks like it's this one right here that says 7th and 8th grade facility options.
Any more chairs?
If you're looking for it, it's this one right here that says facility options.
Chucky, are there more chairs somewhere?
Does everyone have this sheet in front of them? So you haven't seen this sheet, which is okay. That's okay. So I'm gonna defer to you, Lori, whether you want to take a brief recess when they get the chairs figured out here, or if you want to keep going. So,
No, I think we should take 3 recess and get a chair figured out. I haven't seen this document. I want to go and read it.
oh, and you'll get ample time, but I want to.
I want to read it. I want to read it before, I want to know what you're doing before we do it.
Absolutely, but can I talk you through what we're gonna do and then take the time to do that?
I thought we're gonna go on to, yeah, if you can, I just thought you wanted to take a break now while they were doing that. We're not listening to the shuffle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to take breaks while they're doing that so that nobody misses it.
Okay. So with that break, feel free to read through this. But let me give you 2 quick caveats. A couple questions that we're going to ask early on. Question number 1 is, do you want to add anything to this list? Because we may miss something, and it's okay if we miss something, you want to add to it. And then question number 2, is there anything on this list you want to eliminate immediately? So in other words, I don't think that's an option. Like, for instance, this is not on the list, I mean, make something up. Move the 7th and 8th grade to arcade. And that doesn't seem to be like a viable option, and so you could say, hey, we don't even want to spend time discussing about this, so let's take this off the list. In a brief format, can you, Jacqueline, just say what the options are that are on the list so everyone knows what they are, just for titles of them?
Yeah. So the first option on here is just to keep them at the high school. With changing their bell schedules, they would have a different schedule than the high schoolers. Another option is to move them back to Hoopa Elementary School where they were before, same classrooms. Another option is to move them to Trinity Valley Elementary School and have a wing, the Giddings wing at Trinity Valley be the junior high wing. Another option is to move them here to the district office.
And move the district office.
And move the district office, yes. And then the last one on here is to move them to the Captain John campus.
And move the Captain John.
And move the Captain John students off, yes.
So you'll see each one is broken down into a brief description of what it is. And then there are underneath of that, the considerations operationally, and then the advantages and the challenges. Please understand those. This is not an exhaustive list of the advantages and challenges. It's just the things that came to the top of our head quickly going through it. So it's just kind of a starter, if you will, of what's there. And so why don't we take a couple minutes, let you read through this again with this idea in mind. Is there anything on here that you want to cross off immediately? And the second question is, did we not put an option on here that you would like to have for discussion? So how much time would you like for that, Lori?
10 minutes.
I think 5 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, so we'll come back. It's 45 by that clock up there. I know it's different, 46. So we'll come back at 56 on.
Then I think you're on my agenda.
The projected enrollment, that's without the junior high.
Yes, both numbers, at all the sites, I put projected enrollment on there. That's without 7th and 8th graders. And so there are 70 total 7th and 8th graders at, for Hoopa Junior High School. Yes.
How does that break down? Does it matter?
It's right on top.
Oh, there it is.
Good question. Good question. When you say grade 7, are were those 6th graders faster and they'll be 7th graders? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so 7.
And then the incoming 8th graders.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There was a suggestion of maybe leaving 8th grade there. And moving seventh grade back, is that considered a new option?
That would be the option.
Okay.
So let's add it on, and we'll add that on.
If I want to be kind of on, say, next year. But it's not an option to only. Because there's a limit. And then you still keeping right to the violation. There's no hold, they have to have to pose it. Or do some, or make it different, but it's gonna, but you're not invited. We can only. Yeah. And why is it 5 to 6 classrooms? I don't know, 5 to 6. Which picks up around the
60.
Part is that.
Six.
Like,
There's one that's.
Because of that, we have started.
10 years.
Yes, I remember. I think we did. Yes, and I think we did. Yeah.
For those of you
Yeah, why is here since she might know, so we have, ours, like, I feel like it's very hard. Where is that? That's another option that you're on, I guess. And then we have. What is that like if we can add it to. One, and then we did for sure on get the second back. That's like for the long term.
Want to be careful with this discussion with me, because
We're back in order.
Okay, so the questions that I asked each of you to consider as we are reading.
Back in order, thank you.
So the two questions that I asked you to consider, is there anything that was missed that you would like to add to the list? That's question number one. And then question number two, is there anything on the list that you'd like to propose to delete? So Leslie already gave a proposal to add one onto the list, and that was leave 8th grade at Hoopa High School and the 7th grade at Hoopa Elementary. So in effect, if I'm understanding this correctly, 6th graders should just become 7th graders, stay at the elementary school. But the 8th grade, 7th graders last year would just stay at the high school as 8th graders as an option. Is that correct? Any other deletions or options that you'd like to add for consideration?
I think along with trustee Jackson's option to keep the seventh graders at Hoopa L and move the eighth graders to the leave them at the high school. I think that maybe we could possibly look at doing that with the seventh graders, but moving the eighth graders to the Captain John site, if that site can accommodate that number of students. When we know it doesn't accommodate all 70, I'd like to check to see if it can accommodate the 30 something. 30 or whatever.
That'll be a total different thing then. Add another one.
Yeah, that's another option.
It should be another option.
It's another option.
Okay, so I think I've got that, and what that would be is this year's seventh graders, next year's eighth graders, and at this point, I'm just gonna start calling them seventh and eighth graders, and every time I do that, that means next year. This upcoming year. So eighth graders, the Captain John, seventh graders, Hoopa L. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other, I was hoping someone would have a deletions, but take something off, let's not just keep adding.
Deleting Trinity Valley District Office.
Okay, Trinity
It's
Valley,
because they're a lot of money and the facilities aren't ready. I was gonna say Captain John, but if you're only moving one classroom there, it's possible it may work. Otherwise, we were looking at 350,000 for a bathroom facility, 6 months for permits, 1.5 years for construction. That's not helping us right now.
right, and that may be a long-term
Right,
solution, you're just
right.
talking in the short
Short
term.
term.
Move away from the idea of both grades to Captain John. And move away from the idea of the district office for both grades, is that accurate?
Right. So if we're looking at just one, then it kind of opens up the door to going to Trinity Valley. I think we have bus issues.
I don't wanna take Trinity Valley off.
No, I think we should leave it on also, and the district office. I think we should talk about all of these because they're short and they're all pretty much gonna be long-term, I think.
Very good, because from my perspective, to take it off, all 7 of you need to agree to take it off, because we'll have the discussion, you may not end up going with it.
Yeah, I just want to
but
talk about it.
This just means you don't even want to talk about it. Any other proposals? And that's okay, please keep bringing it up. If you don't want to talk about one of these because you don't think it is an option, just bring it up. Any others on there or any other additions?
Well, I don't really wanna talk about sending the kids back to Hoopa L. But I already have dissent, sounds like, huh? Okay.
So, but wait a second, let's make sure that we're clear. Having both 7th and 8th grade at Hoopa L. And so,
So to make it crystal clear, I would like Hoopa L to be a kindergarten through 6th grade school,
TK through 6.
TK through 6.
TK through 6.
sure.
Keep it. would
So
like to
I don't
say that.
think you're gonna have the support for that because of the 2 other options that came
Yeah.
up, but you may have the support to eliminate the option of bringing 8th grade back to Hoopa L.
Okay, I definitely want to remove that.
Is there anybody who wants to argue, and leave it as an option to bring 8th grade back to Hoopa L?
7th and 8th, that's what you're
No,
saying?
no, just 8.
I want to leave,
Well, we're gonna
I
discuss it.
want to leave them all
Yeah,
on there.
Leave them all
Let's
on
leave
there.
them all on there. I don't want to take anything off at this point. I want to hear what the community has to
Well,
say
that's
about all these options that are listed.
Very good, so we will leave them on there. Any other additions? Now, let's talk about public comment, because that's really naturally what I think comes next. How do you all want to handle public comment? As I said earlier, it's a study session. And we can have a specific time, more like a board meeting, where the public gets up. Maybe they have an option that we haven't thought about, and you can add it to the list. Public can't add an option to the list, but any one of you as board members can add an option to the list if they convince you it's a good idea to discuss it. And so that's a possibility. They can talk about options that they don't think are the best ideas for us moving forward. But what I would encourage you to do is to limit the public comment to the short-term solutions as much as possible, because I think we've pretty much decided that that's what we're talking about right now. It'd be great if we had some conversation about long-term, but I don't think we're gonna be able to make that decision tonight. So options for public comment, give 3 minutes per speaker, just like your normal board meeting. Ask speakers as much as possible to not be repetitive of what other people are saying. If they have new ideas that other people haven't already said, please get up and speak about that traditional type board meeting. The second option is, and this is where a study session is different, allow people to get up and give their public comment. And then when we get into board discussion, it could be more of a back and forth with the community about ideas that come up and the way things go. But it's really important to remember that that is very different than a normal board meeting, because normally you don't engage in that. But a study session would allow you to do that if you so choose as a board that that's how you want to do it. So what's your pleasure? How would you all like to handle public comment this evening?
The second choice for me.
Study session, I guess.
Study session type.
Yeah, because I'd like to be limited to the 3 minutes so everybody can speak. And then do the back and forth while isn't that what the second issue was?
Yes, it was. That was.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me if that's what everybody else wants, but I do want to limit, because I want everybody to be able to have time without us being here until 12 o'clock.
If you do this option, I would encourage one thing that you all recognize, and we'll need your help with this, that if the audience wants to speak, they have to be recognized by the president in order to speak. So
Right.
if you go with the second option and you choose that, and you want to engage as the audience, just raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Otherwise, it'll just turn into
Right.
chaos.
Okay, is that good with you guys? Is that good with you?
Do we have a microphone?
Yeah, we have a podium. They'll need to come to the podium.
Okay, that's a good delineation. So if you want to speak, you have to get up and come to the podium, and you'll recognize people at the podium from there. So if you're raising, I think what I'm hearing, I just want to make sure I'm not mishearing this. But I think what I'm hearing, if you're in the audience and you choose to do this option and you want to speak, you'll just get in line at the podium, and then she'll recognize you, Lori will recognize you to speak. So if we go down this road that I think we're hearing, you're gonna let everyone speak their 3 minutes. And Dana will time to make sure that we're at the 3 minutes. And then we'll start the board conversation. And then if that brings up more conversation from the audience, they would stand up at the podium and say, okay. Is that hitting what you all want? Does anyone have a different perspective? You would like to do something different? We don't have votes on this or anything, it's just kind of general consensus of what you want to do.
Right. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you then.
Okay.
Unless there's any questions of me before we start.
Got your
public comment.
timer going, ready?
Yeah,
I got 3 minutes.
We're ready.
Rose Sylvia,
Sorry, I'm jumping in line first. Today's my daughter's birthday and I gotta.
and you want to get out?
Okay, so my question to you is this. So when this decision was made, it was made for a specific reason, and there were certain goals and objectives that should have been achieved in the first move. I want to know why, what didn't happen? Was it grade point average? What's the pros and cons? Why are we here today reconsidering the action that happened last time? There has to be some motive to why we're here today to move them back. And as a community member, I would like to know what that is. Is it because of the mix between the age groups? Is it because the kids didn't perform? Was it because the services that were thought were gonna happen didn't happen? Is it because of the not having enough teachers? I mean, it's kind of like you're asking us as a community to choose one of these options without knowing what didn't work. So we're gonna choose something not knowing if it's gonna work again. Like they were moved for a reason and now you wanna move them back. And then also, I just wanna say this, that my son goes to Hoopa High and I have a huge concern about teaching staff. And if any money's gonna get spent, I don't wanna spend it on moving the kids again and again. I wanna spend it on the teachers. I want teaching staff, and if we're not successful at that, so if there's extra money that can be put somewhere, then it needs to be put to the teachers and getting our kids educated. If we don't do that, we're gonna lose a generation by not educating our kids, and I think that's should be the number one priority in the decisions that we're making. And if we don't have teachers to teach them, I've been told different things, right? So you're missing you're missing teachers already at the elementary side. So if you make the decision to move the 7th and 8th grade back there, are you now deficit more teachers?
I mean, that's huge in this decision, and I don't see that information here. I mean, because it's always about whether the kids are getting educated, and if they're not getting educated, why not? So that's my comment. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rose, but I want to make it clear that we're not here to make a decision to move them back to Hoopa L. That's just one of the options that are on this list. So, I mean, we're just, and the reasoning is we're trying to make the whole situation better. But anyway, I just want to make sure you don't feel like we're just moving them back. That's not what.
And I know that that's one of the options that is on the
Right.
page. And I guess, and you having said that, why wait till now? Like, like, why wasn't that discussed like at the end of the school year if this was gonna happen? Because it's like too late.
Right.
And just so you know, Lori, what I'm doing.
They didn't
um,
figure out about what didn't work.
Thank you,
I'm,
Rose.
I'm writing down the questions that they're asking, because I think if you answer each individual question that comes up as they come up, it's gonna really
Yeah.
in the meeting. And what I will do is when public comment is over, I will read off the questions and you can determine which ones you want to ask of staff and have further conversation
Yeah.
about and move from there.
And we will be providing an answer.
So where do I go to find the answer? If I ask the question, where do I go to look to see the
It's
answer?
recorded, correct?
Yeah,
So she could review, because I'm gonna bring the questions back up when it turns over to board deliberation.
and you can always call either me or the superintendent anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
would like to know.
We all wanna know.
Yeah, well,
So can we all?
and we will be announcing it also, but I mean, I'm saying if you want to know before you see it somewhere, you can always call us. You can always call the superintendent's
And
office.
maybe I wasn't clear to what my plan was for the group that's here. What I suggested to the board is that when somebody comes up, like her questions that she had down is, why are we reconsidering this? Why didn't it work? Did this cause more deficit spending? And why didn't we discuss this earlier? I'm writing all these down so the board can choose which of these questions they want to have in their discussion. But if we get into a back and forth at every public comment that comes up, we're going to be here for hours. And so that's my plan. And so it's not that we're trying not to answer your questions. So I'm just trying to give you a perspective of where we're at. We may be here for hours when they start
Yeah.
answering these questions after, but to get through public comment, we're going to do it this way unless the board would like to do it a different way.
Okay. And so I'll have Sherry Hicks. And if you want to speak, if you could please fill out the square papers, because it makes it a lot easier to call and have your names written down. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Sherry Hicks. I teach at Hoopa High School. Last year, I taught eighth grade class of English language arts. I have some firsthand experience in regards to how the high school operated last year. Some of the positives to having the 7th and 8th graders over there is we had an opportunity to prepare them for high school academics and expectations. I think that bringing the students over benefited Hoopa Elementary and maybe hopefully the retention of teachers over there. The first 2 months were exceptionally challenging with everything happening exceptionally fast. And after that first couple of months, it seems like the 8th graders kind of acclimated and adjusted. I don't have firsthand experience with the 7th graders other than conversations with the 7th and 8th grade teachers during lunchtime, because the 3 of us were on a separate lunch schedule. And I had an opportunity to work with Blaze and Jen at lunchtime to hear how they were dealing with some of the things that were challenging. Some of the other challenges throughout the year were supervision, students wandering. It seems like the administration had a lot of time chasing specific students that instead of using their time more wisely and proactively. The separate bell system was also a challenge at the high school. It should be the same for all students with maybe additional support in the cafeteria for those students. We had some challenges with integrating students into high school classes. There were positives and negatives with that. When the bell schedule's different, it was hard to integrate them into, say, a Hoopa language class. So there were some positives and challenges with that. Cell phone use needs to be addressed by all age levels, and I think that that and behavior management were challenges for all of us. It seems like there was reduced support for the high school students because admin was focused a lot on the behavior issues of the junior high. I like to come with solutions, suggestions.
Keep going. Do you have more? Do you wanna, you were just going to come up with your solution?
I want to hear that.
I'd like to hear the solutions. I mean, do we have a motion for 3 more minutes?
Yeah.
How's that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Some solutions have rules set in advance of the school year starting and be consistently followed. Have some accountability for actions that is set at the beginning of the school year. Activities at lunch for the junior high. It seems like if it was a rainy day, it was exceptionally hard. Our library was used as a place to drop them off, and that was not a viable solution for our students. They need games, they need something to do. We need more teacher support staff for the junior high teachers. If we leave them at the Hoopa High, they need to have like support staff to help them with discipline, behavior issues, so that a student who misbehaves in a class is not returned back to class to continue that disruption, because the students in the class that are there to learn are missing that opportunity. Need to have a SPED teacher on site. It seems like our SPED teacher for the junior high was back and forth between the junior high and Hoopa Elementary. I'm an advocate for keeping the 8th graders at Hoopa High this year. As you said, they're the former 7th graders, but keeping them there and keeping the 6th graders, now 7th graders at Hoopa L until we can come up with a long-term solution. It seems like having just the 8th graders at the high school would make a nice opportunity for us to figure out what's best for the students, the 7th and the 8th graders. I believe that there should be a same lunch for all students with additional support for the cafeteria. Something maybe even in just a 15-minute time break between, but as long as there's additional support, because I know our cafeteria personnel was like had to reset up for the high school after the junior high were in there, and that took a little bit of time. So some more support for the cafeteria staff. My main concern is the lack of preparation that we had last year without teacher input, without staff input. And it seems like it felt like just dropped on us at the high school, as opposed to being a very thoughtful, proactive way of integrating the junior high with the high school. I've worked as WASC person at a school that had a 7th through 12th. And I think that it can work if we put some good time and effort and thought into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hicks. Next, we have Ms. Tina West.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I'm Tina West. Just finished my 19th year at Hoopa L. Yeah, I think our junior high students need a lot of extra love and support and help. They really need us to put special attention on them. They're at this unique stage of their life where they're transitioning from babies to kind of adults or young people to adults. And I like that we're having this meeting, but I just want to express that obviously we have a 4-week deadline for school starting. We need a short-term solution, but I implore you to think of a long-term solution that meets that unique need of how precious they are and how we need to take good care of them. In the short term, I'm gonna reiterate, I love the idea of having the 7th graders stay at Hoopa L, having the 8th graders stay at Hoopa High, and in the future, I know we are not trying to make long-term decisions, but I would like to propose that the district office finds a spot to build itself a nice little building that could house the district office with all of the important things that happen here at the district office, and surrender this back to the students. And that this is my favorite future long-term solution. I know that's not gonna happen in 4 weeks. But I definitely agree that there needs to be additional support staff. Part of what happened at the high school was just not a lot of clear expectation and consistent reinforcement of that. And so if we're gonna keep students there, wherever they are, they need really clear expectations, a lot of support and consistency. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ramona Sokolov.
Hi, I'm Ramona Sokolow, special education teacher at Hoopa High and special day class teacher. And I'm not sure if you all are clear on the differences of all the special ed programs we have here. In the district, there are only 3 right now. There's speech and language. Occupational therapy is a separate one. You don't have a hired person. And then we have resource teachers who see their students maybe small group or individually, and special day class teachers who teach the core subjects with those students because the students are lower functioning, have specific needs. So when I'm reading where we're moving kids, I'm always thinking, well, special ed case carriers, have certain sizes, maybe about 13 recommended for special day class. And then resources caps at 27, but we hope for fewer. So anyway, I spoke with you last spring, I know, when I talked about various things, telling you that, I don't want to repeat too much, but bringing the middle schoolers to the high school changed the high school. And all year I kept saying, this doesn't feel like a high school anymore. And we love all our kids. We want them all to have quality education, but it felt like a middle school with kids running wild. And it was painfully obvious that this group that we inherited is the group that suffered the most from COVID, right? And they deserve, just as Ms. Tina West said, they deserve special treatment and all the care that they need. So I support the idea of a long-term plan, and I gave you some suggestions in my email. I love the land just adjacent to the elementary where that church is. I keep looking at it. I think you could put a few modulars, a small gym, cafeteria, office, even have special ed staff there. And I support the 6th, 7th, 8th grades. But I also, I think we should not change what seems to be working. If your admin from Trinity Valley or River Schools are saying that things are not working, then we could discuss moving middle schoolers, but I don't think we should try to change everything. I think just Hoopa Elementary needs the help right now. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. Let's see, the area right next to that elementary, the fact that I support a long-term 6th, 7th, 8th with a special ed teacher there as well with their own modular or whatever building. And right now I do support the idea of keeping the 8th graders at the high school since they've been there. That would be consistent. They won't be thrown back and forth. And then having this, if Hoopa Elementary is fine with having their 7th graders there, then I support that. It will make
all the services, the other services, the counseling, you know, like I said, the speech therapy, special ed, all the other services will be easier because we had a lot of service providers running all around back and forth. That was difficult. In long-term planning, I hope we can all be involved. I think every administrator at every site should really be involved because they know what their school is going through, you know, they do. So I think that's all I wanted to share for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Beverly Steichen, Steichen, I'm sorry.
Hi, with Robert Anderson not being here, I'm sort of standing in representing KTTA, I guess. I don't feel qualified to say a whole bunch of stuff about that. I teach 8th grade at TVES. And, my first question that I've been trying to get answered, I'd love to know if we have a 7th grade teacher hired yet. And if we do, I would love to have contact information for that person so we can at least say hello over the summer. Otherwise, I have no idea how to best prepare for 7th, 8th grade, you know, immediate success, like we've had the last 2 years. Staffing, I think, I, in 3 minutes, I can't possibly get all the things in my head out, but, I think staffing is so important. And when I've looked on the HCOE website or EdJoin or anywhere that I can find advertisements for our teachers, the advertisements are something that I would never apply for. They're not clear.
Yeah.
They don't say, we need a 7th grade teacher who specializes in science and math. They just say, pool, county's looking for something, pool. I would never apply to that. And every time that I've applied elsewhere out of this district, quick thing, this is really important, I want to say. I'm in favor of the short-term solution of keeping the kids with consistency. And as far as a middle school building, I would like for you guys to keep in mind how many teachers come from the coast. That includes me. But in that field on the outside of TVES, a building that would be very much like the middle school building at Freshwater School District. They have a middle school building on their campus that is not part of the elementary school, but it's there on that campus. It's very nice. It works really well. I would just say bringing, if you were going to group all of the middle schoolers together into one school, choosing this building, choosing Hoopa would make it much less likely that many coastal teachers would drive that extra 20 minutes past Willow Creek. So you might consider that spot as a better choice. But yeah, I think that staffing is the biggest cause of trauma for our kids, being understaffed, being underqualified staff. And I just think that if we advertised for teachers better than we do, that we would get better teachers consistently, as many as we need. But they need to know what they're applying for, or they're not going to respond to the advertisement. And let's see. I can leave it.
Can I ask you to clarify? You're speaking on behalf of the union?
No, I'm here, I guess, representing, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the union.
You're a union member, not
I'm a
representative.
I'm a union member.
Oh, I thought she was representing Robert Anderson.
I had conversations with Robert Anderson. I absolutely don't want the things that just came out of my mouth to be taken as Robert Anderson's words. No. He asked me, and actually in the email to everybody, he had said that I was going to be here because he couldn't be.
Right, that's
No,
why I
I'm
thought
not.
you were representing him.
Yes, no, I'm not speaking for him. As I've been at this microphone.
The email says that you are, so I just wanted to clarify
Okay,
that.
well, he and I agree on all these things that I've said, but I don't know what kind of implications are made if I were to say I'm speaking for Robert Anderson.
Okay.
I'm speaking for Beverly Steichen, because he did not give me a statement. I would need a statement from him if I were to say I was
I
speaking.
just wanted clarification.
No, thank you
for that.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thanks.
But we have statements from Robert Anderson today.
Right. Mary Ann Lyons.
Hi, everyone. As you guys know, I was more or less a junior high school vice principal last year. So I thought I'd reflect on some of the things that went really well for the junior high. Number one, we brought over 100 students over to the school last year. We have to remind ourselves of that. We brought over students who became ninth graders, eighth graders, and seventh graders. We brought over 100 students over to that school. In the past, we only worked with the ninth graders, right? So now we have the seventh and eighth graders. We had 2 new teachers. I was a new vice principal. We had some upheaval in our admin at the high school. And during all of that time, our students continued to flourish and grow and learn and become more self-disciplined and really ended up really excelling. Our seventh graders did really well and will be our eighth graders. Our eighth graders, yeah, of course, we have some kids who wandered the halls, but those kids, we didn't have enough support staff. We did have our special ed teacher was across the way, so we'd have a kid walk over there, and our most needy kids were walking over there, we never see them again, so that was a problem. The successes outweigh, as far as I'm concerned, all of the mediocre complaints here, and here, and here. Bringing over 36 students does not even compare to when we brought over 100 last year. So to me, bringing the seventh grade students over would not be anywhere near as problematic as when we brought 3 grade levels over. One of the things that would happen if we did not bring the seventh grade students over, and it can go either way, but if we don't have and if we move them to a separate site, they're gonna lose all kinds of options. They're not gonna get Hoopa language, they're not gonna get to go to wood shop, they're not gonna get to go to auto shop, they're not gonna get to do any of those things that they were doing before. And not every student, not every seventh and eighth grade student was mindful in the wood shop, but we would address that. Not every student was mindful in study hall, but we would address that. From the beginning of the year, when we had kids laying on the ground, just wandering around to the end of the year, I can't express how great the seventh and eighth grade teacher did and how great the staff did, how great Miss Hicks did with her eighth grade students beginning of the year. And we still had 10 or 15 of those students that took up a good portion of our time. But quite honestly, coming into it, and I've taught it at junior high school, I've taught it at high school, coming into it at the beginning of the year, these students were very dysregulated. And by the end of the year, they were really overall, 80% of them were mindful, appreciative, talked to me very kindly in the hallway, talked to my teachers very kindly in the hallway, were just bright, shining examples by the end of the year. So also, because I'm already at yellow, please don't have our maintenance crew move a whole school or move anything. I mean, I can understand maybe leaving the seventh grade kids over there, but to create this whole big panoply of insanity, moving stuff so short, that's what happened to us last year, right? We started it 1 month before school started last year, so that's all. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Annie O'Rourke?
Hi, so I wanted to, on one hand, reiterate what Rose said in that our students' progress and performance should lead our decisions. So looking at results, where have they been the most successful? But also when thinking about moving them, just last year, they already had a move. And it can be really detrimental to students to feel as though they're unwanted by any campus. So if it becomes necessary to move them based off of their performance, that's one consideration. When we talk about this group of students, the focus has always been behavior. So what more resources can we provide to address that? Because that has been one of the biggest barriers to their learning, but also to their being safe and it maintaining a safe campus. Leaving the seventh graders and having eighth graders stay over at the high school. There's some additional considerations such as teaching staff. Instead of having one junior high teaching staff at one location, now they're broken up into 2 locations and you may have to bring on more. And will you be able to do that, especially without pulling teachers from other school sites, because I wouldn't want it to be at the detriment of any other sites. So when you think about that consideration, is that feasible? I understand that Hoopa L is still short several teachers. And other school sites are as well. We're trying to really hard to get all of those positions filled. So if you break up those two grades, will you be able to fill that need? But also I just wanted to ask you to think about how can you make the best out of the resources that you have to bring in all of the behavior supports for our 7th and 8th graders so that they can help become belonging members of the community. That's what we want to build them into. And right now they're having a really hard time with that. And they may have an even harder time if we just keep bouncing them all over. So we want them to feel like they belong, but that deserves extra consideration. And they will need additional supports, and we have to make sure that we provide that to the high school if that's where they stay, and we provide that to the elementary if that's where they're split up. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Sydney McConnell?
Hello, Sydney McConnell, guidance counselor for high school. If I was going to make a decision that was solely based on what I thought was best for students, the only two options I would even consider would be keeping them at the high school or doing 8th at high school, 7th at Hoopa L. But that model does require additional teaching staff, because then you break up that class. I agree with the points that Sherry had for things that went really well. There was a lot that went really well. Going forward, if the model is to keep it what we have now, I think we need to do a lot of work on how to improve upon that model. The clear, consistent discipline, boundaries, expectations, and we all need to be on that together. Like the administration needs the support of the school board. We're all on the same team working towards solutions. I think individually as community members, that is what everybody wants. But making that happen as a group is sometimes a little bit harder. As far as junior high being on the high school, what didn't work well, I don't think every kid should just automatically, every junior high kid should automatically go into high school electives. Not all of them are at the maturity level to follow. I mean, it's a safety issue, but some of them thrive. So there could be some sort of criteria where you earn that, or you demonstrate you're ready. Because we had a lot of students that really got a great education last year, so I don't want to take that away. As far as the junior high being on the high school campus, even in the short term, they need some sort of area that really makes them feel like a school, like a gazebo, lawn, picnic tables. They're still kids, they have recess at others at that age, and so being able to do something with that time. Having the separate bell schedule the way we had it last year didn't work great. If we are on a separate bell schedule, it needs to be different than what we had last year, and that could afford maybe like a recess for them. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Sydney. Gina Campbell?
I am here as the grandmother of a 7th grader, and I would like to see her go to 8th grade and stay there. And I'd like to see the 7th graders of the elementary, but then also with the points that were brought here about the teachers, that's gonna be an issue, but I think that you guys can solve that. Having a 7th grade teacher. There's other models rather than just a junior high, it has to be 2 grades. So that was it, and I'm kind of repeating what other people said, and I support what they said about 7th graders remaining at Hoopa L, and I'm wondering, did they have an orientation of 7th graders to the, or the 6th graders to the high school? Well, that was just my question. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
That's it for the speakers.
Sorry, I couldn't fill it out. I didn't have my glasses on. But
glad-
my concern is,
Can you come
I
up
can't
here?
go through all these people. I kind of show up my sides and public strong. But, if you're gonna keep them at the high school, why don't they have water in their area? Why don't they have a bathroom? Those are things that you should be able to put in before you do that. As a parent of a grandparent of a special ed student, when he gets up there, is there a special ed place for those kids? Because they're not at the same maturity level as high school kids. Do we have the staff to cover it? And recesses are required at seventh and eighth grade even. So they need a place to go. And if it's raining, they need a safe place to be. But we do need to keep them somewhat separate. And we need stronger administration. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
I'd like to talk. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I want to be last. Crawford?
Hello, yeah, speaking to, the junior high, I taught there for 25 years, I was in the classroom for about 4. Got pretty rough, they got like career decision was made, and a couple of other colleagues have done that, and I see other colleagues leaving also. Bluntly, the word's out, Humboldt County, if you have to, you really have to, go to KT and teach. And if you don't, stay away. Culture that's been grew the past couple decades, I guess, of where teacher support, whatnot, isn't what it should be. That's for you guys to deal with. Historically, though, what always bugged me about this place here, was built as a community day school.
Yeah.
And it was built in a really nice building for our children. And then it was taken away, and those kids who deserved a new building, a new setting, a new learning environment.
Yeah.
Conducive to success, they were put in modulars. And then it was done to our junior high last year. They were threw basically out in the field in between the high school and the baseball field. Here's your new school, guys. How many of you graduated KT Elementary? 2. Hey, all right. Took you a few years though, right? Well, you did it, buddy. Yeah. It was huge, man. 8th grade, the top of the hill. It's a huge cultural promotion. It's community wide, river wide. We celebrate these kids for who they are and their achievements. Encourage that same success through high school. But when you do the kids like they've been done, it's tough on them, especially this group. Somebody mentioned it was during COVID that these kids, when they were supposed to be learning these social emotional skills to interact with their peers and whatnot, they didn't get it. They're home looking at a computer. So extra work, extra resources have to be implemented now to help these kids who didn't get that, right? And so last year I heard another fight at the junior high, It's because I think they didn't learn skills. What are we doing to implement those? What are we doing to help these kids succeed, not only educationally, but socially and emotionally? So I know my time's about up, so thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
So hi, I'm Blaise Shannon. I taught 7th and 8th grade last year, and I look forward to doing it again. I do want to be very clear, something that Annie said that touched my heartstrings and made me cry. These kids are wanted. And we want them here.
It makes me cry.
I know. I feel like they're treated like they're problems, but they're not.
Yeah.
These kids are wonderful. I've seen so much growth. I'm so proud of them, and I'm so looking forward to meeting 7th graders if they come over. If they come over. I'm fine if they don't. I can understand why we would want to make that decision. If they do come over, I'm ready for them. There is something I do want to mention. There's a few things. One is that the loss of Jen Soderfelt to the junior high campus. She's been a huge support for me. Replacing her would be, I can't overstate how hard it will be to replace her. I
would like to emphasize that as the district makes the decision to replace that teacher, they find someone who is credentialed,
Yes.
who can lead me because I am new. And I want to make sure that I am as strong and as good a teacher as I can be. A few things about the campus itself. I would staunchly oppose moving them to Captain John. That's just one thing I want to make very clear. I want to keep them where they are. I want my 8th graders to be in the classroom that we've built with the art that we've made and the plans that I have in place for them. And I welcome the 7th graders into that as well. We have issues with that portion of campus. The classrooms are old. Yes. They're modulars. Yes. One of the major issues is they are not protected from the elements. My children are walking through a river of water that acclimates that accumulates in front of our building, that soddens their shoes and makes them wet and cold. It also makes everybody say that person smells and that person smells, and so it creates a social dynamic. So we need to, one, fill in the gravel area so that they're not walking through puddles before they come into my classroom.
Yeah.
And then 2, we need to protect them from the sun. That building gets beaten by the elements, rain or shine. It is incredibly hot. We have no water. We're relying on water dispensers. That is not okay. I've asked kids to bring in water bottles. The cup system for the water dispensers is ridiculous. So keeping them hydrated, keeping them dry, and keeping them cool is a problem. I'd like to see some sort of structure, some sort of pergola, anything to give them, one, a sense of the space being their own and welcoming to them. Also to bring down the temperatures because it's uncomfortable, and uncomfortable children are restless and don't really feel like learning a whole lot.
Yes.
So I don't want to go on and on, and I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say, but all that being said, unless it's an undue burden on the rest of the high school, I would not mind having 7th graders at all. But bearing in mind that we faced issues. If they have to stay behind a L, I understand that decision as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I need that.
Hold on, Sandy.
Thank you. I hate talking with other people. So glad I get to have my back. I just wanted to address my appreciation for the whole group. So many great testimonials basically have come out of this, and I appreciate that. And I feel like Hoopa L had some great success last year. And it's because of the hard work of people like Blaze that made those kids feel welcomed at the high school, and I really appreciate that as well. Last year, the high school had a grade span of 6 grades. Hoopa L had a grade span of 8. At times, the high school had 3 administrators, and Hoopa L had 1. My secretary sent some statistics that'll probably be shared with you guys later, but about as far as behavior.
Can I just share? I have it right here. Can I say it?
No, I'm in the middle of this.
Sorry.
Right now, Hoopa L is still in desperate need of filling 4 key teaching positions. And we're 3 weeks? If I keep the 7th graders on my side, that means we're short 6 teaching positions. Not that that isn't needed at the high school as well. My secretary brought up something really eye-opening today. And she said that, because I've been noticing it, but I never ever put it to words. And that is that with the junior high not on campus, we have 4-year-olds. Try to remember that. We have 4-year-olds on our campus. And even as lovely as 7th graders are, and this group is really going to be wonderful. I mean, I do hate to see them go if you guys decide that they're going, but they still go through that junior high phase. We have 4th graders to 6th graders. It took us about 3 months to settle down last year because the kids were still trying to imitate the junior high conduct. You know, the gang whistling, the rag wearing, the bullying, and not that we've got it completely taken care of, but there is a definite, it's visually obvious. We have kids now that get in trouble because they won't keep their shoes on when they're playing tag. Okay, that they're going in, they're going behind the building when they're playing, and because they're playing hide and seek. And those have been, you know, we've had some other issues, but that's basically our day-to-day problems. Because we've been able to reassure these guys that it's okay to still be kids. And that was only about a fourth of that. Thank you.
I'll move to give her.
Another
time.
30 minutes.
Like 4 minutes. Rest of it.
We've moved to give you 3 more minutes if you'd like.
Okay,
Sandy.
yeah. So, Trish is in the room. We tried, we're gonna go to shortage of positions on the site. We have 11 classified unfilled positions. Okay, we were never able to get permanent grounds positions filled last year. And it basically was done between one dependable sub, and that was my granddaughter, and she had to come because I told her she had to come. But the rest, it was all the staff just making sure that there were boots on the ground. And that's really great. And I so appreciate this, that school couldn't run without the support staff. But that meant that they weren't doing what they were hired to do as well. Okay? But they realized that student supervision is number one. You can't do anything if kids are dysregulated. So we have 11 unfilled classified positions. We have 4 unfilled certificated positions. It's 3 weeks till school starts. The nightmares are already starting. We went all year last year with one admin. And I really believe that can happen again this year if it's just TK through 6. And so if you're able to fill that vice principal position for Puka that could go toward the junior high at the high school. Because it is true, it's all about supervision. That was on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the stuff that you have? Statistics, something?
Oh, what, yeah, I know that.
I think we should hear.
Everything. So discipline data supports, what the staff observed, reported incidents at Hoopa Elementary School decreased from 121 during the 24-25 school year to 38 during the 25-26 school year. This represents a reduction of 83 incidents, or approximately 69%. Some of the largest reductions involve physical aggression. Incidents involving causing, attempting, or threatening physical injury decreased from 44 to 15, while assault incidents decreased from 20 to 1. Disruptive behavior decreased from 15 incidents to 4, and bullying declined from 7 to 3. The profanity related incidents decreased from 5 to 2. There were also no reported incidents involving drugs, sexual harassment, weapons, tobacco, arson, or general defiance during the 25-26 school year. Yeah, and there's a whole write-up that I can share. Yes.
Do you have similar stats for the high school on those things?
I don't, but I can get them.
Is the junior high school included in the high school stats?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like to see those. Yeah. Okay, do we have Last call for public comment. Your name, please.
Benson.
Benson.
So I just want to share my experience. Last year, my daughter was a seventh grader. This year, the first idea of the junior high going over to the high school, I would say I was a little concerned, but I was also kind of excited because, you know, it was something new for them. As many have stated, like this group of kids have not really had any stability since COVID. And I would say that my child thrived being over at the high school. She was challenged academically. There was more structure over at the high school than there was at the elementary. She made, you know, she never had any issues with any of the older kids. She got to take classes with the older kids. She got to take an elective. She was really excited about that, and she's excited to hopefully be able to do that again this year. So I, as a parent, and I also have a sixth grader this year, so this will affect her next year. I'm in big favor of keeping the junior high over at the high school. I just feel like some of the issues that were presented last year was just due to lack of preparedness.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that is totally viable and doable. And I think it would be beneficial to our children, not only academically, but, you know, socially as well. So yeah, I'm in favor of keeping them over there. If it comes down to it, leaving the eighth graders over there to finish it out since they're already, you know, acclimated to that environment. I will say that I am not in favor of relocating them to any other campus or town. You know, I grew up here. My kids, you know, are growing up here. I would like to keep them here. And like, you know, a bunch of other people have brought in good suggestions about, you know, if they are to separate the kids from the high schoolers, allow those ones, you know, that are, you know, able to do the high school classes to do the high school classes. I mean, I graduated and I was an eighth grader in 2002. And at that point, they allowed us to go over and take courses at the high school. So by the time we were in high school, we were taking, you know, algebra 2, geometry, things like that. And so, you know, just giving those kids the opportunity and don't hold them back for the few number of children that have, you know, behavioral issues or whatever. I just feel like our kids are being hijacked by those kids and their education is being what's the compromise? Compromise, yes, thank you. And like, I just want to give kudos to staff that, you know, with the little amount of time that they had to prepare and being able to make it a successful year, at least for my child, you know. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Add something real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay, Jordan Haley, please.
Guys, sorry, a little slow. I just have a couple suggestions, maybe. So when we're thinking, so Jordan Haley, for those of you that don't know me, Hoopa High alum, vice chairman, rock star, all the good stuff. Is maybe when we're thinking about the long-term solution, I'd like to bring the kids into this. Why don't we bring the kids in and like do a you know, something in the gym to where like we get together and just try to see what they feel and what they want. When we did the listening session this last year, we got a lot of good insight straight from the kids. And we plan on doing it again this year too, several times, which I encourage everybody to come out if you can. And we'll let you know when we're looking at it. But you know, I think it's important to try to get them engaged at a younger age. And a lot of these kids have become very active with everything they've been through this last year. You know, I got to give them props. They took something that was very tragic and very hard, and some of them are using it to kind of plot a course in life to be an activist or to be in defense of other people or what have you. So if we could get them engaged, stuff at a younger age, then we'll always have a room full like this, as people get older, and not just when we have tragic events or, something serious, but every week, we want to encourage people to volunteer, to have civic engagement, tribal engagement. And if we can start doing that with the kids at a younger age, I just think it fosters that and it gets ingrained in them, and it benefits us all. And as we come into this new year, let's all remember that we are here for the kids, and try to be patient and respectful with each other. I know it can be hard. I know I have my issues as well. I get, we all have our bad days, and then we do our best. But I'm hoping that we can show the kids that we're here for them, and that we're willing to hear them and do whatever we can to provide the best life and the most security we can for them. I appreciate you all and everyone for being here. I know this isn't easy. This last year or two has been really difficult for us on the river. And, as sad as it was and hard as it was, it also has united us in a way. And I really hope we can hold on to that, because we're stronger when we're together and united. So I appreciate everyone, and I hope we get this figured out and everybody has a good school year. I know it's a lot and it's coming fast. Summer goes by extremely quick, but these kids deserve the world, and whatever we can do to help, we're always here to help. So thank you.
Thank you.
Penny Cordova, please.
Jenny Cordova, I work for the tribe. I don't have any children in school. I have nieces and nephews and lots of cousins. And I've heard a lot of stories about bullying in the school system, even down into the lower elementary, second, third grade, classes where kids were being bullied. And it's like, we as parents, we should show our kids that we care, and if we can donate a day to come in and be in the classrooms and help and supervise so that those types of things won't happen, I think that it would send a big message to our children that we do care about them. And the tribe went to 4 days a week, so there's no reason why we couldn't, as parents, alternate our days during the week, taking a day off and somebody going into a classroom and helping the teachers being there supervise. From what it sounds like, you don't have enough staff to help with the kids. And I think that's a really vital thing for us to let our kids know that they matter, they care, that we care about them and that we love them. So I just wanted to share my little 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Penny. Last call? No? Okay, then we'll go ahead and proceed with our meeting.
They're ready for me to read it.
Yes.
So, you mind if I make a comment?
Sure.
So, and it's actually to them.
Go ahead.
This is my opinion. It doesn't represent the board or anything like that. I just, when you walk into a board meeting, and I go to board meetings all over the place, and you have a group like this, you never know how it's gonna go. And I just want to thank you for being very thoughtful and being very respectful, even though everyone doesn't disagree, and being so passionate about what you think and what you think the school district should do. So I just want to express my appreciation and say thank you. All right, so where we're at right now, as promised, I said that I would read the questions that were brought up. And so basically, not all these questions need to be answered. They're just questions that you have and that you want to be answered. And so let me read down the whole list. And if you could take a note or just reiterate if there's a question on here that you want to be answered, we'll spend some time with those questions. And so the ones that I heard, and I apologize if I missed anything, I tried to get them all, is why are we reconsidering this? Why didn't it work? Will this cause more deficit spending? Why did we wait this long to discuss this? Do we have a seventh grade teacher hired yet? Did the 7th graders have an orientation to the high school as of yet? Why is there no water? And why is there no restroom for the middle school at the high school? And why is there not a special area for special education students? Those are the questions that I heard.
I think it was, why was there not a special area for the junior high students? And then is there area for the special education students? I
Okay,
think that
that
was-
you could be correct. I may have gotten that. Thank you for that clarification. So I'll just defer to you. For most of these questions I can't answer. I won't know. And so we'll defer to Jacqueline on that. So are there any specific questions that you want to ask Jacqueline for response to? Or Jacqueline, if there's anything on that list that you'd just like to answer because you think it's pertinent and important, please do.
May I, Bert? Yes, okay. I appreciate all the thoughtful comments tonight as well. Coming together and really looking at all perspectives and thinking everything through. So I think one of the questions that Rose asked is, why are we considering this, and like, why did we go here to begin with? So I want to shed some light on that. I would say the two main reasons last year for the movement was, one, staffing. Staffing was an issue. We had 4 positions that needed to be filled to cover all of those classes if we left them at Hoopa Elementary, and we figured out, well, if we moved them over to Hoopa High, we could maybe share some teachers. So we ended up hiring 2 instead of 4. So that was a huge reason. And then also the students, they were really struggling at Hoopa Elementary. I'm not sure if it was from, I don't want to actually guess why. I don't know if it was because of our green, like really green teachers and not having a lot of structure. I think that had a lot to do with it. And then when they moved over to the high school, even though we had a new teacher, Blaise said she was new, we also had a lot of teachers that have a lot of years under their belt. And I think that's why we had some success last year. I know that's one of the reasons we had some good success last year. There was a lot of systems that were happening in place. There was continuity. Every time I walked into one of those classrooms, kids were listening. The beginning of the year was hard. It was hard. The first couple months, I would say. And then once we got over that hump, things got a lot better. In fact, I got to the point where I'd walk in the classroom and I would just walk back out because I didn't want to disrupt the good learning that was happening. So, anyways, those are the main reasons why the kids were originally moved. And my preference is that we do leave them where they're at. I would really like to give them another year there. Is that my long-term solution? No, absolutely not. I have my sights. One of you guys said, that there was a good spot over at the corner, at where Hoopa Elementary is, but the corner there where the church is at. And I also have my sights on that. We're working. One of the reasons Fred is here is that he's working with me on how we can obtain some money from the state. We still have projects that are unfinished, buildings that need to be finished in general, but also I'd like to see the middle school have their own space. I think that really, if anything, I saw this last year, that was reaffirmed for me. They need their own space. Do I think that it works better at the high school with them rather than being at the elementary school? I do. I think that I think there was more success last year than there has been in a lot of years, maybe even in decades. I also agree that kids could go over to the high school and get some of those extra classes, that harder math class we've done. When K9 was the math teacher, there was a handful of kids that would be able to go across the street and take math. Those things are definitely options. But my recommendation to the board is that we do leave them where they're at, with us looking at long-term solutions, that not being the long-term solution, but that being our short-term solution.
So, you mind if I respond really quickly?
Yes.
And then go to, so staff's recommendation is status quo. So absent of you doing anything this evening, that's what will happen, is the 7th and 8th graders will be at the middle school next year. And so that doesn't need any action. I'm sorry, thank you. At the high school next year, so they'll remain where they are this year. So absent of you taking any action, unless there's a different proposal, that's where we're at right now. And so a couple things can happen. You can have a full-blown discussion, certainly within your rights and parameters as board members to discuss potentially doing other things if you'd like, or you can just say, let's follow the staff's recommendation and let's move forward. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Lori, for the board discussion.
I'd like to, I'd like, hello. I'd like to clarify something because I've heard it a few times. And I think it's an exciting thought, but I want to be sure that everybody understands that that property that's being eyeballed doesn't belong to the school district. It's tribal property, and I want to be sure that we don't have an assumption that we can move forward without discussions with the tribe. And there's a lot that needs to happen before that can come to fruition. So I just want to point that out because I've heard it a couple of times, and I want to be sure that we don't sound as if we're being entitled to something that doesn't belong to us.
I apologize for that. I'm not being presumptuous, and we do have there's a property right here. It's just that's close and proximity, so.
And I'm not correcting you, I'm
No,
not correct you, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Point of clarification, if I may.
But Mr. Crawford, if you could please come up to
Sure.
the podium.
I've heard Jacqueline and then the principal here talk about successes. I need those clarified, I need those defined. You said we saw successes. Was that social, emotional, teacher-student interaction, academic? Do we have anything to measure that on, or have anything to measure that with? Or is it just anecdotal?
I have their maps in there right here, so they can see the achievement.
Well, I just need clarification when we're talking about success. We physically move them successfully over the job, but what successes are we talking about? That's kind of not transparent for me. I love that.
Thank you. Sandy Moon, please.
I just wanted to.
Can you come up to the mic?
Yeah, because nobody can hear me.
We have people, on the listening on Facebook and stuff, and that's why.
I just
that's
wanted
the reason for the
clarification
mic.
too. And so when you say stay status quo, is that with the suggested improvements, such as the pergola and
Yeah.
water?
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know whether you can get water out there, so I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you have already figured that out and you can, I just don't know the answer.
They do. We also have high school classes out there and have
Use a mic, please.
ever since.
Thank you, Mr.
Because I don't
Thank
know
you,
if the
Mr.
board
Crawford,
knows
for
that,
that.
but we do have high school classes out there as well and have ever since those portables have been there. So it's not that the junior high is being like tortured by something that everybody else does have. No, it's not great, and we would rather not have high school classes out there either, but just to clarify, there are 2 high school classes in there.
They all can have water.
Yes, they should have that.
So one thing I would encourage at this point is to bring the conversation into the board. We've heard a lot from the community. I'm not saying don't listen to them anymore. I just think the board should discuss a little bit and questions that they may have or comments or give some perspective on what you all think right now. But I'll defer to you.
Do I have any suggestions, questions from the board?
Well, I don't have any questions, but so what I'm hearing from the staff is that they feel like they have been successful out there. And they do show academic growth. They do show behavior growth. I mean, I guess it hasn't been all staff, but the doomsday stuff that I've been getting doesn't seem to be represented here. So, I feel like what we need to look at is now we have this 7th and 8th grade at the high school, the staff is behind it. How can we make it more comfortable and productive? So.
In the short term.
In the short term.
With our, that's what we're essentially dealing
Yeah,
with.
with our long-term goal to actually do it.
Do I have any other, Harry?
Well, I felt before this meeting, and I feel even stronger about it now, is that we lead them. We don't disrupt them again. I mean, That's all I could think was, oh no, not again. Let's not, let's make them feel like they belong. I love that. I love that, what you said, because they do belong and we need them to feel safe, secure. And it sounds to me from parents, from staff, that it's getting better. It is definitely getting better, and especially if we're looking at this for the short term, let's not do anything, except for that, make it more comfortable. Water, basic needs should be done, and even some beautification, I would think, a gazebo and things, and, they deserve that. They deserve that. So that's all I have to say.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I just want to say too, that has been my issue, is that they're in a space that I don't think is appropriate for any students. And I have been saying that all along, and I thought that maybe that wasn't possible to get that fixed. So that's why I think, they need a better space. Because we love all of our students. We want all of our students to have success. But when we would see where they are and, and hearing, and I know there's the big puddle out there in front, because I used to have to navigate that when my son was in high school, because he had classes out there too. Other kids have classes, students have classes out there. And I never have been able to understand why it doesn't get addressed. I've advocated that water should be in every classroom. That's a fact. So why that's not happening, I'm not sure. I thought the water was put back. So, but that is, I totally agree. I totally and absolutely agree. And that's why I've been advocating for some type of move and some kind of improvement of the conditions that our junior high is being taught in. So, I mean, and if everybody would, want to go in the short term and leave them, and we can work on that and work on getting to a better place in the long run, that's fine with me too. Thank you, Martha.
So, and the other thing that I don't want to lose sight of, because I feel like we've kind of focused on the junior high, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, well, at least for me, my bigger decision was for Hoopa Elementary, because we weren't graduating kids that could actually go to high school. And for 40 years, we've been hearing Hoopa Elementary is failing, Hoopa Elementary is failing. And this was a fix for that. And I think we're going in a really good direction with Hoopa Elementary. So I just don't want us to lose sight of, one of our primary goals, which was helping these students from TK up.
Yeah, but we want to move them in a good direction. We don't want to move students just because we want to make one side better. I mean, we don't want to just move a problem. It's got to be a good environment, Anybody else? Can you wait a second, Annalise? Is there anyone else who has a comment before she? Kadushka.
Well, I just have to say that there were costs associated with most of these proposals, and I hope that we can use this opportunity to put money into creating a better space, because clearly we have money. So I hope that to be part of our strategy today.
Right.
Yes.
I have a question. I like the idea of gazebo fixing. I think the gravel could be done right away. What about the gazebo? Some type of awning? What will that require?
Missy can speak to that. Yeah. Please.
Same thing in the middle.
Missy Alman, your facilities director. I have put as much input as I can on everything. I will wear my mommy, my grandma, and my aunt hat as well, and I will try to keep them both very appropriate, and a lot of decisions to be made. I've heard everything in this room tonight, and I take it with my passion again, and I will start making some big decisions on those. I need a solid answer on that. And one thing about gazebos and anything that we do, we cannot do without DSA's approval. DSA owns us. So I can go over, slap anything up, do anything that you guys ask me to do, but nothing is going to move as simple as a gazebo until we have a plan and we start having all of that now. So I hear it. I've heard it from all of you in this room. So I know where my goals are going to be, but I'm looking for a solid plan tonight of this junior high model. I support it. I have babies in junior high right now. My babies are growing, going in college. My grandbabies are coming up in here. My nieces and nephew, one's a senior and one's an 8th grader over there. They've seen it all. We've all been to Hoopa Elementary, born and raised here. I went through all the way, and I was a rascal when I hit my junior high. So I was one of those, you know? And I made it. I'm standing on your podium today, and I want to make the best facility for you. But I need you to make a choice. Where do you want me to build that at? Because we need work. We need money and we need work. And I can't do it in overnight. I need some time. So I'm glad that you're gonna think about going ahead and keeping them where they are. Those portables at the high school were temporary. We were never supposed to keep them. So that's why we're walking in mud holes. That's why we need money to move forward. I need some decisions made for us to start moving forward. I will work miles for you and our children to have better stuff. Always my number one goal. But I need your help. I need some decisions made, and I need a strong communication. I can't walk out of here tonight and wonder what we're still doing. I cannot make miracles happen. I will work my hardest off. I already have a bathroom quote for you. I already know what it's going to take to make this place a better space, if that's the choice that you make. If you're going to go to Captain John, it's the same. Right now, those places do not have cafeterias, so we're complaining that the model we're in today doesn't have water. They do have drinking water. They do have the spigots. No, it's not the best. They don't have drinking fountains in there, but there is portable water in there. So there is things that need to be addressed at the high school. We need the wing B done. We need more bathrooms. Those bathrooms need to get done. We need to make a move. We need some funding, and we need to move forward. I need to know what the plans are. I can't go out of here tonight and not know what we're thinking. So please, whatever decision we go, I can't do anything until I know what your final plan is. And I guarantee you tomorrow I will start making movement.
Missy, can
Thank you,
you,
Missy.
I don't wanna put you on the spot, but
You put me on
I
the
think
spot.
you know this already, so, as far as putting up a gazebo, cause we were looking at putting one up for a different site at one point, do you know kind of a timeline if with DSA and all of that? Just
I
to give-
can bring a gazebo through Costco right now, but
But DSA.
but I need to get that approved. Because you got the groundwork that you need to do, where are you putting it? You need to have a plan again. So I'm hearing a gazebo, so once we get a plan, you tell me a location, give me some ideas of where we're moving. My staff can go put a gazebo up, it come next week and they can put a gazebo up. Are we legal? Are we gonna pass with DSA and everything, or Misty put it up, that's what everybody wanted, that's fine and dandy with me. I mean, we can, if that's how we're gonna roll as a district and not follow our standard guidelines and stuff, then that's.
But how long would it, if we follow the guidelines?
If we follow
Around
just a
approximately.
gazebo,
Yeah, just a gazebo.
depends on the size, what you're looking for.
Okay.
So again, what size do you want?
Do you think you could have a gazebo through DSA by like November?
Oh, easy.
Okay.
I mean, I can,
Okay,
a gazebo is the minor
okay.
thing of DSA, okay? A gazebo is the minor thing. Right now, your big things, any site that you are looking at right now that is not already established does not have restroom facilities. So whether it's this site that we sit on right now, you have a restroom facility. You do not have food. How rude is it that I come in next week and I have my 8th grade baby sitting in this boardroom as his classroom? And He's got a bathroom, but where's his food gonna come from? He's gotta sit in the classroom space that he learned in all day long, and then he's gotta eat in there too. So, I mean,
Thank you,
anyway,
Missy.
yes, thank you. Yep,
I don't know who to ask, but did the seventh and eighth grade have lockers?
yes,
Oh.
no, not them, not over at the high school.
Yeah.
But we can order those. The site can order some lockers for the classrooms and they can have them in the classrooms. They have the capacity in that setting where they are to have lockers.
So can we get them lockers and the
Yep,
gazebo?
let's get a list. I hope to hear tonight what we're doing so I can move forward.
I think, Blaze, do we need lockers?
Yes, we need lockers.
Blaze, do we need a gazebo?
Yes, we need shade.
Gravel?
We need gravel.
Okay,
We actually, hold on, can I hold up really quick? When it comes to doing any sort of landscaping, when we do solid scaping, it's hot.
I need to have an order here. Can you come up to the gazebo? Are you finished, Missy?
I'm done, yeah, whatever you gotta
Thank
do.
you. Yes, Brad?
So, a couple things that I want to clarify, and I didn't want to talk over Missy. She's correct. So DSA, first off, I want to say what DSA, Division of State Architects. And so the way that works is anything that you build on the campus doesn't get approved by local ordinance. It has to be approved by state ordinance. And there's three important timelines when you start dealing with DSA. Timeline number one is planning. Timeline number two is DSA review. And timeline number three is actual construction time. And so you have to take into account all three of those timelines when you think about DSA. On a gazebo, you can get what's called an over-the-counter or a pre-approved plan that's pre-designed to be built. And so that minimizes that time frame. It still will sit at DSA at a minimum for 3 months, more likely 4 or 5 months for them to review the process and approve it for us, even though it's an over-the-counter. I know that sounds crazy, but it still takes that much time out of the Oakland office. And then there's the building time. Most likely, if it exceeds $15,000, unless are you a Pepco district?
We are.
Okay, so your bid limit will be higher than that.
Yeah.
It's closer to $200,000, somewhere, I forget the exact number. As long as you fall under the CUPCA, you can just send out a quote and get it built. But if it's over the $15,000 mark, you are not supposed to build it as a district. It is supposed to be bid out and be built by somebody under prevailing wage. And so to get it built by November, maybe, but I think it would be a real stretch to get that built by November, and you'd have to answer the question of, is the bang worth a buck? If you don't get it in and they can't really use it until about the first of the year, and then your long-term solution is something different, I would guess that an over-the-counter gazebo is probably in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Well, couldn't we just put up those, at least put up those,
Just the
those,
shade.
yeah, just can't we just put up those EUs at the,
Easy.
yeah, I mean, we should be able to at least use easy up, so they have
Easy
to.
up. Anything that's portable,
Yeah,
like
they
easy
do
up,
have
you can
shade,
do
because
that.
that's what they're, it doesn't have to
But
be a gazebo,
here's what I would encourage you to do as
if
a
it's gonna
board.
be 4 weeks.
Okay, here's what I would encourage you to do as a board. Give direction to Jacqueline on what you want. Remember, no direction tonight is status quo. That's her recommendation. She's gonna keep it going over there. Tell her to address the issues. I don't recommend you get so deep into the issues because that's a staff level thing to figure out how you're gonna provide shade. One other thing, and I know this may not be popular, but across the state in most schools, it is standard to not have water inside the classroom past the elementary level. Most Eureka City schools where I was at for well over a decade, most of the time we did not have water in classrooms beyond 6th grade. Before 6th grade, always did. But beyond that, that was a district standard. That's something that you need to decide as a district, especially as you do construction forward, because that doesn't mean you can't have water in the classroom. You just need to decide whether you want that inside the classroom or not. I don't think that's a conversation for this evening. But the second piece that I encourage you to do, even if you do nothing right now, is you need to provide clear direction to Jacqueline that you want the long-term plan options brought to the board by this date. And provide that as a direction right now. And I know she'll fulfill that. I know she'll follow that, but she needs that expectation from you on when you want her to bring that back. And she'll stick that in her calendar and she'll make sure that that's in the board meeting coming up. Please don't say September, because that's not going to be realistic for her to turn around that quickly. But I do think if you give her a deadline by the first of the year, not the school year, by the 1st of January, meaning that's a December board meeting or something like that, you need this brought in front of the board. It really can't be any later than that, because if you wait longer than that, it's not gonna happen. Because you're gonna run into issues like, let's say you decided tonight you want the junior high school to come here to the district office. I would tell you that that's probably not real, because you've got classrooms that have walls in them that have to be taken down. You have a district office that has to be moved. You're gonna be asking the district office to move during one of their busiest times, right at the beginning of the school year. And I think you're setting yourself up for failure if you're gonna do an option like that. So maybe that is the long-term option. I'm not saying don't do that option, but if that does become the long-term option, you really need to have that plan in place by January 1st. So that gives you the time to do all that background work to make sure that everything is lined up and ready to go. So you can set the students and the staff up for success.
I have a question. Is a Costco gazebo considered portable?
No.
No, it's not. That's what we actually got. We were gonna put one in.
We can put tents up on those things up
Wait,
in the
wait.
summer, I would think.
Why isn't it considered portable? You put it together and it doesn't bolt in or anything. It doesn't seem as it to the ground.
ESA, if students occupy the building, if like, let's say it's a tough shed or junior barn, whatever they call those things, and it's set up for storage, doesn't need DSA approval because students aren't going to be in there and you make sure the students aren't going to be in there. Okay. As soon as you have students going inside of any type of structure, it has to have DSA approval.
That's why we don't need the gazebo, we just need shade. For the, I mean, for in the short term.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in the short term, obviously, we don't, but as school starts in 4 weeks and it's hot, now.
And so what I would suggest, if you really want shade, and that's really important to you, as a part of your direction, say, Jacqueline, figure out shade. They've got to have shade. Jacqueline, figure out water if you want it different than what it is right now with the water jugs inside the classroom. I don't know if that's possible. Let's say you say, figure out water, and it's gonna cost $1 million to bring water out there. So then what she would need to do at that point is come back at a subsequent board meeting and say, we're not gonna do water unless you tell me you really want to, because I investigated, it's gonna cost $1 million. I don't think that's in the best interest of the district. But she would need to report back to you as to why she can't fulfill a directive that you want her to do with the students.
Fred, one more question. Do you know anybody at DSA?
Oh, the person, we work out of the Oakland office, and his name is Chris Morton, and that is who oversees all of the building in this area. In fact, just talked with him on the phone last week.
Go ahead, Blaze.
So with regards to water in that area, one of the things that became very evident was that to implement the chosen science curriculum, it became darn near impossible for the other teacher to do so, not having the kids not having the ability to wash their hands or to wash beakers afterwards. It was very difficult. And so for the hand washing, number one, I mean, I had a lot of absences tied to kids being sick. I think that hand washing was really important. And then being able to implement curriculum were two reasons that we needed water in that location. With regards to shade, pull-out awning will suffice until for further planning. I can't imagine that that is considered. I don't know. I don't know what it's considered, but you all talk amongst yourselves with regard to that. But as it pertains to either gravel, wood chip or grass. I'd advocate for a mixture of both, not strictly rock though, because that's going to make the hot even hotter. It retains heat and then gives it off. So I would advocate for grass if we can do a load of topsoil and seed it. As it pertains to irrigation, we do have an irrigated baseball field right next to us, so I hope we'd be able to tie into that relatively easily. But again, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. So,
Thank you, Blaze. Irma, please.
As she makes her way out there, science classroom definitely is an exception to the rule of water in the classroom because it's part of the curriculum.
So what I'm hearing is that we're gonna keep it as it was this year, but I really feel like the 7th graders need an orientation. Last year, everything was just slammed in and not even, some of the staff didn't even know till the first day. So let's be more prepared and set the kids up for success because they deserve it.
Yeah.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Ken Goke and I'm the new principal at the high school. And I'm hesitant to speak, but I did speak this week, Monday with Janice at length, and I also spoke
Could you
with
please
the,
spell your last name for us?
G as in golf, OEKEN.
Thank you.
And so I spent quite a bit of time with Janice, and I talked to the union president yesterday for over an hour, and so you can quote me on what he told me. I was told that Janice submitted an option, a recommendation to keep the rising eighth graders at the high school and to keep the rising seventh graders at the elementary school. And the union president also told me that that was what he and the consensus of the staff members supported as well. So I don't know the reasons behind that, but that was what they reported. You can quote me on that. Since you had a question about what did Robert and union feel. So I spent an hour yesterday and he personally told me that he and a consensus supported the interim principal's recommendation to keep the current rising eighth graders and to leave the rising seventh graders at the middle school.
Thank you. The same opportunities as so beautiful.
Annalise, please. Well, I think we have more people wanting that option than Ireland. Go ahead, Annalise, thank
Good
you.
evening, Annalise Colgrove, the Tribal Education Director. So just thinking realistically, there's less than a month for the start of school. I've also heard there's not a seventh grade teacher. So I'm just wondering how this factors into the timeline of this decision. And thinking about staffing, whether the seventh grade goes and stays at the elementary school or if they come on to the high school campus. And I guess the question around, is there a teacher being recruited? Is there someone in mind? And how does this vacancy affect the timeline of this position?
There's multiple teaching positions that we're still lacking right now. So yes, we are working on recruitment still. We do have people still applying. As Sandy said, there's 4 open positions at Hoop Elementary. I think 2 at Trinity Valley. And I think everything else is covered. So we're looking at 6 teachers still. Yes.
And so with the seventh and eighth staying on the high school campus, I think it's just reiterating the ask of having the adequate support. And I know that was a challenge last year, so I anticipate it continuing to be a challenge. And so just trying to keep all of those factors in mind of how do you adequately staff and support the seventh and eighth to make sure it's flowing well and that things are working in the best interests of the students. I also heard the concern around essentially the concern about being developmentally appropriate, right? There are some students who are able to handle the harder level high school curriculum, where others are having that challenge. Integrating that, I think, was a really great suggestion. But again, just highlighting if you're keeping the seventh and eighth on the high school campus, just making sure you have the adequate supports.
So I would encourage you at this point to bring it back into discussion with the board so you all can figure out what it is that you want to do and provide direction to Jacqueline on what to do.
I have a question about the seventh and eighth grade teacher of the Annalise here. So if they stay at the high school, are we short a teacher?
It depends what model we do. So if we keep things status quo how they are right now, we are short 1 teacher. If we create a separate bell schedule for them, we're actually short 2 teachers. There's only 1 teacher right now, and we would either need 2 if we keep things the way that they are. If we create a separate bell schedule for them and we want to keep them really isolated in that one area, then it would be a 3rd teacher as well.
And but for clarification, if seventh moves over to Hoopa L, we're short
days.
Yeah, seventh stays at Hoopa L, then we're still short 2 teachers.
Correct.
Which 6 teachers.
Yeah, which would make sense, yeah.
6 teachers.
They're already short.
Well, I mean, it adds 2
Yeah,
more.
it adds 2 more. So we need 2 teachers either way.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
extra teachers either way.
Yes.
I needed 1 if you do the.
Carrie,
Can we, I heard it brought up that our postings are not adequate.
correct.
Can we look at that and make some changes there?
Yes.
I wrote that down, Sherry. I hear you. No, this is, I hear it. Directive from the board.
Actually, that's not properly agendized, and I
Oh.
think she heard you, but you can't really discuss that right now because you would have to properly agendize that. So,
Okay.
but I think she heard you.
I
That- That's not downplaying that at all. What do you want to do, Ward?
Well, I want to have more discussion because I feel like the spot that our students are in is inadequate. And for what I'm hearing is it's gonna take a lot to get that space adequate. So are we just prolonging, spending more money that is eventually they've got to change anyway? I mean, I'd like to see them have their own space.
Yes.
So how much do we put into, the short time, the shortcomings before we actually are, moving towards their own space? Because I'm hearing we need gravel, we need a pergola, we need all this stuff that we've needed all last year and didn't happen. And I don't know, somehow I feel like, well, maybe if we leave them where the seventh grade where they are, move on to, then we have less space over there at the high school, possibly that we have to try to get up to speed, or even moving the one grade over to Captain John. So if that space is more adequate and is acceptable, but then we have to worry about the Captain John people. But I just think that I want to be as disruptive as possible, but I don't want to waste any money either on something. Go ahead, Harry.
Well, I heard that we already have high school classes out there. Why, if we address it,
Yes.
they can be using it.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody
we
will
need to address it for our high school students as well as our junior.
Yes.
Everybody will.
So that should be probably one of the most important directives is to get with Missy and actually evaluate that space, that whole space, and find out exactly what it does take to get it more appropriate.
Did you want me to answer the question about the classes for next year? Because I met with Janice and we were in agreement on what's gonna be out there, if you want to hear.
I do.
So the idea is that the teacher that was in that second row, I did not want to move forward, so she'll be in that very first portable in the front. And then if the seventh and eighth grade come over, then they would be in the second and third behind that. The SRO is being moved to the front of the school for supervision, along with the two classified individuals. And then the other two would be empty, but we would have an IEP room in the very front where that teacher had left. And so all the IEP meetings can be held there. Yes, that second row, the front room will be an IEP room. And so that will be all of our meetings, copies made. And so we're only gonna have one high school class out there. And if the seventh graders stay, we would have a high school and a seventh grade class in the portables. And that would be
Seventh
it.
and eighth grade.
I'm sorry, if the current seventh grade rising eighth graders, we would have them out there along with the high school. So we would utilize 3 of those portables for classrooms.
So only one is a high school room, the other two are seventh and eighth grade. Seventh,
Either rising eighth graders, or if we do get the rising sixth grade into seventh, we would, yes, use those 2 classrooms for them.
Would it be just 2 classrooms for the seventh and eighth?
Yes, that was my understanding and the recommendation from, that was what it was last year.
same as last year, Harry. It's 70.
It's less than
It's
100.
two rooms. Okay, we're gonna take a break.
How long?
Please, to see a show of hands, what is the audience feeling? Because they're really.
I don't.
No, I
recommend
don't wanna do that. Take a break.
Here, well, then let me just say the why behind that. The why behind I don't recommend asking the audience is because you only have a sampling of about 40 people-ish here. That may not represent the whole district. And so you want to be careful because there could be some people who you wouldn't be taking into account if you just took a poll of this audience. And so you certainly can. I'm not telling you you can't, but that's why I don't recommend doing it.
This is yes, I'd like to take a break till 8 o'clock, please, 15 minutes.
Well, yeah.
Nice we have, is there food or anything?